When it comes to shooting, Steph Curry is an anomaly among NBA players. But the thing is, he was always an anomaly, even from a very young age. When people think of guys who are freaks of nature, the first ones that come to mind are probably players who are athletic monsters, with ridiculous physical tools or physical measurements. But for Steph, he's a freak of nature in a different way. There's no player in NBA history like him, and I don't think there ever will be. Some of these stories you're about to hear also show the incredible odds that Curry had to overcome. Keep in mind, nobody thought he would turn out the way he did. For most of his career, heck, for most of his life prior to the NBA, he was so under the radar that he wasn't even on the radar to begin with. It's been truly an incredible journey. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today let's take a look at some crazy Steph Curry stories. Stories that are so incredible, if it wasn't Steph Curry we're talking about, you wouldn't believe it. Alright, let's get started. Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe. If you like the content, drop a sub or a like, and thank you so much for the support. Number 5. The Virginia Tech offer. One of the most interesting parts of Steph's basketball career was that he basically came out of nowhere. In high school, he was a late bloomer, a very late bloomer. Literally nobody even knew who he was in his first 3 years in high school. As a freshman and sophomore, he was only 5'6". As a junior, he grew to 5'9". This story takes place in his junior year of high school. At this point, he was never even considered a Division III athlete. In fact, basketball was not even a valid career choice for him. He was too short, he was too skinny, barely breaking 150 pounds. However, there was one college that was interested in him: Virginia Tech, a Division I school. When the assistant coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies reached out to him, he offered to visit Steph's high school and have lunch with him in the cafeteria, in front of hundreds of other kids. This was such a big deal for Steph because it was the first sign that maybe, just maybe, he could make this basketball thing work. Somebody finally noticed him. Of course, he told his entire school and all the kids knew about it. It was such a hype moment. But then the actual meeting day came. The assistant coach told Steph that they weren't really interested in him, but they offered him a walk-on spot to their team, without even needing to try out. Huh? According to Steph, this confused him. But then he thought about it and he believed that the school did it as a favor to him, cause his father, Del Curry, also attended Virginia Tech. Initially, Steph was happy about it, but then he realized it was kind of like a pity offer. He thought the school felt bad about him probably not being able to get any athletic scholarships, so his attitude went from being super joyful to kinda embarrassed. What was he supposed to tell his friends and other students? That Virginia Tech gave him a free spot on the team because of his daddy? However, this motivated Steph even more. He rejected this offer and desired to pave his own path. Combined with a respectable growth spur in his senior year, it worked out for him. Davidson, a college that's been recruiting him for many years, finally got Steph to accept their offer. And the rest is history. Number 4. Outshooting the Raptors as kids. Around the late 1990s, when Del joined the Toronto Raptors, Steph and Seth were like 10 or 11 years old. It was common for Del to bring his kids to practices, whichever team he was on. The Curry brothers would hang out with professional players all the time, shoot around on the court during practices and stuff like that, so this was nothing new for them. They would also play shooting games for fun with the players on the team. But one time in Toronto, Del brought them in, and according to Seth, this is what happened. He brought us around all the time, and sometimes they would let us jump in shoot-around games. We had Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Muggsy Bogues, and we were still some of the best shooters in the gym when it came to spot shooting. We could shoot threes. When you would pick teams in shooting games, we would be one of the top picks. We were getting picked before NBA players, before some of the big men got picked. I mean, we could shoot it. Vince Carter would confirm this was true, and he remembers back in the day he would play one-on-one with Steph in horse and other shooting games when he was in 5th grade. More often than not, Steph would beat most of those players on the Raptors, and it wouldn't even be close. That's crazy to think that an 11-year-old already had such incredible shooting prowess. It got to the point where all the professional players were in awe of how good they were as kids. While both Steph and Seth were late bloomers, it was clear from the beginning that their shooting was a skill that would change the NBA game. Nobody witnessed elementary school kids shoot this well before, and outperforming pro players with ease. It was a ridiculous sight to see. Number 3, Curry reads social media at halftime. This might come as a surprise to you. It certainly did for me. I never thought of Steph as a guy who pays attention to the media and what the critics and haters are saying. But apparently, reading social media at halftime has been a regular occurrence for Steph. He does it so often that it's basically become a ritual. According to his former teammate Andrew Bogut, this is what he did. He'll check his social media mentions at halftime when he has a bad half. It's the craziest stuff I ever saw. Yeah, if he had a bad half, he would go on social media and then come out and drop 30 in the second half. Apparently, Steph uses social media as motivation. Whenever he's having a bad game, he goes on Twitter to look at all the negative comments, and that fuels him. Those people mocking him, clowning him, saying he's useless without his teammates, he loves shutting them up. It also makes sense now. During the Warriors' championship years, they were known for absolutely dominating in the third quarter. For multiple seasons, they were the best team in the league in the third, coming out of halftime and obliterating their opponents. Curry was always the catalyst for those crazy third quarter runs the Warriors would frequently go on. I guess this was his big secret all along. Those Twitter trolls have done something good for once. Number 2, a draft critic inspired Curry with a new idea. I mentioned earlier about how overlooked Curry was prior to the draft, but let me show you guys what I mean. Doug Gottlieb, a prominent draft analyst, was one of the biggest critics of Curry. He believed that Curry wasn't even a top 5 point guard of the '09 class. But the thing is, people like him, along with many other draft reporters, they hardly even watched Curry, or any other player that wasn't constantly regurgitated in the media. There was this famous tweet from SportsCenter back in '09, where Gottlieb was quoted saying this about Curry. He doesn't have the upside of Rubio, Jennings, Flynn, Mills, Teague, all more athletic. In hindsight, this is such a laughable take, but it also sparked an idea with Curry. Growing up, he didn't get the chance to participate in all these elite basketball camps for 4 or 5-star prospects, because he himself was not one of them. I mean, he would go to basketball camps that his parents would bring him to, but they weren't part of any exclusive club. This made him question why. Why wasn't he allowed to play against the 4 or 5-star recruits? How could he prove himself if he wasn't even invited? This gave Curry the idea of creating the, quote, underrated tour. To which he explained, it basically goes like this. You've got all of these camps out there, right? All these basketball camps across the country, around the world, and it's great, man, it's special. Those camps are how a lot of NBA guys originally made a name for themselves, and we should keep that going. But there's another thing about these camps I've been thinking about, and it's how, if you take a closer look, you'll see that it's the same exclusive group of kids participating in them, over and over. It's these same 4 or 5-star recruits, players every scout already knows, going from city to city, camp to camp. And so that's the idea behind the underrated tour. To create a basketball camp in partnership with Rakuten for any unsigned high school players rated 3 stars and below. A camp for kids who love to hoop and are looking for the chance to show scouts that their perceived weaknesses might actually be their secret strengths. For Curry, this is very relatable because he was one of those players rated below 3 stars, if he was even rated at all. He wants to give other players who are just like him the chance to show what they can do at these camps. Number 1, the Summer of Tears. Throughout his life, Steph has always loved to shoot. As a youngster, he used to shoot like 1,000 shots per day and absolutely loved doing it. Until one summer. So this story was in high school, specifically the summer between his sophomore and junior years. Back then, Steph's jump shot looked a lot different than it does now. he had to reinvent it, mainly because he used to shoot the ball from his belt buckle. It was a really weird form that definitely would not work if he wanted to pursue a professional career. So him and his father paid a visit to their old shooting coach. His name was Jack, the same guy who trained his father. For an entire summer, Curry and his dad stayed at Jack's place and practiced shooting at the court near his house. It was an intense amount of grinding. Every day, they'd wake up at the break of dawn and shoot until the sun would set. It got to the point where Steph had tears in his eyes after every workout. It was so exhausting. But he knew he needed to do this. By the end of it, Steph admitted he started to hate shooting, despite loving it for most of his life. It seriously became a chore. An excerpt from an ESPN article by David Fleming described the result of his efforts. They got through it. Steph perfected his trademark fluid low-lift lightning-quick form, and an effortless overhead swan neck follow-through. Almost as soon as the game's greatest shot was created, however, Stephen sensed it wasn't going to be enough. And by not enough, he meant that Steph was going to need a lot more than just that to have a successful NBA career. So over the upcoming years in college, he would have similar summers, endlessly working on a particular skill. Whether it's ball handling one summer, his dribbling and passing skills the next summer, his finishing ability at the rim the summer after that, all these things would finally come to fruition in the NBA. He steadily worked his way to becoming one of the most dominant offensive players of all time. Anyway, that's all folks. Those were 5 crazy Steph Curry stories that helped him become the player he ultimately became. Which one was your favorite? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and do you think anyone will ever be as good as Curry when it comes to shooting, in terms of volume and efficiency? He's not only a once-in-a-generation player, but probably a once-in-a-lifetime player. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.